Hello students, and congratulations for passing the first semester. Now we are already in the second semester and I will be teaching you the subject statistics and probability. I am now currently in a work from home work arrangement, so I decided to make a video about our first topic in statistics and probability, and that will be all about sample space. So I hope you are now ready to learn about sample space. Before we proceed to the sample space, let us first learn these two important terms. Number one, the term experiment, and number two is the term outcome. So let's start with the experiment. The word experiment we usually hear in the subject science, like we did some experiments in our science subject, but there is also experiment in statistics and probability. And these statistical experiments are defined as any activity which can be done repeatedly under similar conditions. So for this video lesson, we will be talking about these three common experiments that teacher usually uses to discuss probability in a class. Okay, so the first experiment is tossing a coin. So I have here an example of a coin. It's a 1 peso coin. So tossing a coin means you just you toss a coin like that, and then when you toss a coin, the result is either a head. Oh, where's the camera? Or tail. So when you toss a coin, the result is either a head. It's the side of the coin with the picture of Rizal, and then the other side of the coin is the tail. So again, tossing a coin is an example of an experiment. So it's an activity which can be done repeatedly under similar conditions, and it has two possible outcomes. It can be a head or it can be a tail. This experiment has variations. It can be tossing 2 coins or tossing 3 coins. So when you toss 2 coins, then your result might be a head, 2 heads, head, or 1 head and 1 tail, like that. When you toss 3 coins, some of the results might be 2 heads and 1 tail, or all tails, TTT, or all tails. Okay, so that's the first experiment. Okay, tossing a coin. Now let's proceed to the second. The second statistical experiment is rolling a die. So I don't have a die here in the house, but I will post a picture of a die. That's a die. So when you roll a die, you will have a possible outcome of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And we can also roll 2 dice. Okay, so when you roll 2 dice, you can have an outcome like 3 and 4, or 1 and 6, or all 6, like that. So that's the second experiment. The third experiment is drawing a card from a deck of cards. So I have here an example of a deck of cards. Kung mahilig kang maglaro nito, alam mo na in a deck of cards, there are 52 cards. So 52, lahat ng cards na ito, 52. And then our experiment is drawing a card from a deck of cards. So that means I will get just 1 card from this deck of cards. And then, meron siyang mga possible outcomes. So, one of the possible outcomes is a 10 spades. 10 spades. Okay. So, or I can get another card and I have another possible result, which is King of spade. Bakit po spade? Okay. Again, the three common experiments in statistics are tossing a coin, rolling a die, drawing a card from a deck of cards. The second word is outcome. Outcome is the possible result of the experiment. So when our experiment is tossing a coin, the possible outcomes are head and tail. When we roll a die, the possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And when we draw a card from a deck of cards, the possible outcomes from ace to king of 4 different flowers like spade, hearts, diamonds, and club. Okay, so those are outcomes, the possible result of an experiment. We can now proceed to our main topic, which is sample space. So sample space is the set containing all the possible outcomes. So if your teacher is asking for the sample space, you have to write all the possible outcomes of the experiment, because if there's one element missing, then it's a wrong answer, right? Okay, so it's a set, so it should be enclosed with a pair of braces, right? And then the elements should be separated by commas. So let's try to write the sample space of the common experiments that we have discussed earlier. So for example, in the experiment tossing a coin, our sample space is the set containing head and tail. If our experiment is tossing two coins, then our sample space is the set containing head or HH, TT, HT, and TH. For tossing 3 coins, what are the possible outcomes? That will be your assignment. Okay? Now let's proceed to rolling a die. When our experiment is rolling a die, then our sample space is the set containing the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because those are the outcomes of the experiment. And now, how about the sample space for rolling 2 dice? Again, that will be your assignment. So, what is the sample space if my experiment is choosing spades in a deck of cards? The possible outcomes can be ace spades, 2 spades, 3 spades, and so on and so forth, up to the jack spades, queen spades, and king of spades. So there are 13 possible outcomes, right? Now, using the sample space in rolling a die, how many are even numbers? The even numbers are 2, 4, and 6. Therefore, there are 3 even numbers. Now, using the sample space that you created in the experiment rolling 2 dice, how many outcomes have a sum of 10? I hope you can answer that one correctly using your sample space. Now, using the sample space in tossing 2 coins, how many outcomes have head? Very good. There are 3. These outcomes are head, tail, and tail head. Now, using the sample space that you created in the experiment tossing 3 coins, how many outcomes have 2 tails? I hope you can answer that one correctly using your sample space. Job students, thank you very much for your attention. See you in our next video lesson.